And it says I'm live. So we are on both YouTube and Liberty Radio at the same time on Wednesday, June 24th. And we'll be taking questions in the chat. We'll be opening for everybody in the stream on the YouTube as well. I'll try to cover this. Most of what we're going to be talking about is the current state of what Donald Trump is going through with his being trapped completely by his own Memorandum of Understanding. This is going to be rather new to me because, first of all, it's a different computer, and I use Linux, so maybe it's easier, maybe it's worse, I don't know. But anyway, I do appear to have my face is showing anyway on the screen. Don't know if my voice is yet, but I'm yet to have people in the chat come in. We got people joining us now on YouTube. So anyway, if you want to go, if you're on Liberty Radio and you want to go to the YouTube feed, go to a channel called Forbid TV. As Forbid spelled with two B's and no space between the TV and Forbid. Forbid TV, and go to the section for live, and I'm up live right now. On Wednesday, June 24th. So, it's a real computer, and also now, all my past live shows have been basically potato cam. Because either that or I have to use my phone. It's a really kind of complicated way I had to do it, but I have better internet now. I'll tell you the location I'm in right now. I went from, I was measuring at 18 megabits per second or whatever. Definitely a potato cam. And now I'm up to about 500 because I have fiber optic now where I'm at. So this will be new for me. Not that you need to see my face that much clearer, but it is clearer now. And I've done live streams in the past, and they've always been basically been a combination of phone and laptop. I'm just recording off the laptop computer, the laptop video and microphone. So hopefully everything's going okay. I'm going to be some vibration here maybe. I'm going to move things around a little bit, get a better view. All right, so anyway, the chat's going to be open, and the Liberty Radio people, I've got you on the phone right now, so you'll be able to ask questions as well. Donald Trump is, let me start like this. This is going to shock a lot of you, because I did a little bit of research about half an hour before I came in and crunched a lot of numbers and found out what is going on as far as who you voted for. Back in, I think it was January, I did a video about the shooting of Renee Good and how she wasn't shot from the front, how she was shot to the side. And boy, that created a lot of controversy, and I lost a lot of subscribers on YouTube. Apparently, when you are protesting the killing of American citizens by ICE, that somehow makes you a liberal, and so people were unsubscribing me. Okay, whatever. I'm definitely never claimed to be a liberal. I definitely never claimed to be conservative. I'm a damn American. I'm sick of what's happening in my country. And I've also mentioned in my show many times, there is no really difference between Republicans, Democrats. In fact, I'm going to demonstrate to you right now, it's going to shock a lot of you, that you actually voted for the Zionist Party last time you voted, when you thought you were voting for the Democrat or Republican Party. Yeah, this is going to be strange to a lot of people. This is going to be a new concept for a lot of you, especially those, now people on Liberty Radio understand this a little more. And for those of you who don't know what Liberty Radio is on YouTube, it is a network on computer only, as far as I know. So it's computer and micro FM and a lot of other sources, satellite and so on. But anyway, you can get it on the internet. And you can also call in. There's fun of being called in. You go to libertyradio.4mg.com to find out more about how to get on it. I'm on this show. I'm on that network live once a week on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Anyway, yeah, you voted Zionist last election, and you didn't probably know it. You see, this has crept up on a lot of you, and a lot of you are just now starting to realize this because of the so-called war that's going on. Of course, it's not a war because Congress has not declared war. The Constitution requires you to declare war in order for it to actually be a war. So it's another illegal act, just like we've done for the last 70-some years in this country about getting engaged in these conflicts. But I wrote down some numbers here of the U.S. Senate. About 92% of them, well, actually, not about 92% of them are taking money from Israeli PAC monies, political action committees, whether it's AIPAC, J Street, whatever. 92% overall. And we say, well, how can that be? Well, the Democrat numbers are about 90%, and the Republican numbers are 94%. They're currently in the Senate. They are taking money from political action committees from Israeli sources. So if you voted for any senator in your state that is one of those people, of those 92%, which is about 92% of you listening to me right now, then you'd have voted for the Zionist Party, because they will always vote for where the money tells them to vote for. Whether it be the military-industrial complex money coming in or the medical money coming in. This has been one of the biggest problems with our political system now, is all the money coming into our representatives. In order to get reelected, they need all this money, these millions of dollars, to get reelected, and they're taking money from sources that may not be, from corporations and such, that may not be of the best interest of the people of the United States of America. And 92% of them are taking money from Israel. This will help explain some of the things we're going to go through here tonight about why we're in the position we're in. It's because of Israel. Now, moving on from the Senate to the House of Representatives, I've read down here, we have also 92% of them overall about this. This is not as clear cut because there's some independents, and well, there's a couple of independents too. Of the independents in the Senate, by the way, 100% of them, there's two independents, 100% of them have taken money from AIPAC and political action committees related to Israel. The House of Representatives is also 92%. It's anywhere between 90 to 95% of them being Republicans, and very high numbers of that, high 80s and low 90s of Democrats. So
I believe Mike Massey is the only one not taking money from AIPAC.
I don't know that name. Is that, say that name again, caller?
Mike Massey. I believe it's Mike Massey. Massey is the last name from here.
Mike Massey, you mean?
He's the only one not taking AIPAC money.
Thomas Massey.
I was going to say the Massey rings a bell, but the Mike, okay, Thomas Massey, I think Ed got it right. Thomas Massey, I'd have to check on that. I think you're correct. Marjorie Taylor Greene was one too, and they're both kind of coordinating out right now, maybe.
Thomas Massey was the one that was calling it out on everybody.
Yeah, okay. Well, of the House of Representatives, I do have the exact numbers here. Currently, 33 of them, of the 435, do not take Israeli PAC money. 33 of them out of 435. And that constitutes about 92%. So, unless you are in Kentucky and voted for Thomas Massey, you might have voted for the Zionist Party. You see, it's one of my ways of trying to show people that you really don't have a choice. If you are hot on the trail thinking the midterms are going to go against the Republicans because of what Donald Trump has done, and the Democrats are going to take power, no, the Zionists will take power. Because the Zionists control both houses of both major political parties in this country. They've been bought and paid for decades. Slowly but surely, they built up to 90% of them. Israel controls our military. Isn't that very obvious to you now? I've been saying this for a long time. In fact, you can go back, look at your media people who've been listening to my show a long time. I've been saying this for years, actually, about Israel, the connection with Israel. Israel really shouldn't be considered, some people say, oh, it's the 51st state. Well, no, it makes more sense if you think of it as the first state, because that has primary superiority over anything, our support of Israel. And that's a damn shame, but that's really what's going on. Thanks to the people on YouTube who are giving me thumbs up, supposedly helps the algorithm. Very few people on right now, but thank you for doing that. So with the money we get from Israel, what's happening here, if you don't know, we are paying Israel money in the forms of billions of dollars. I think it's $3.6 billion a year or something, or maybe it's a lot more than that. I don't remember the number. I don't have that number in front of me. We paid Israel billions of dollars, not to mention all the weapons we sent to them to commit their genocide against Arabs or whatever you want to call it, Shia, Sunni, Arabs, Palestinians, whatever the case would be, Lebanese now, Hezbollah, Hamas, whoever. All the weapons we send to them are being used to create a genocide all around their region in your name because you pay for them through your taxes. Because the United States has been giving money to Israel for many decades and weapons. Did you vote for that? Well, apparently you did because 92% of our elected representatives have voted that way. So apparently you like that. So you've got yourself into this war and you're paying for it now, and Donald Trump is in a big quandary right now because he may have to do things he was basically refusing to do, and this goes against everything that he stands for and everything that those 92% of our elected representatives stand for. And that is finally stand up against Israel. Appears to be the only way out of this, unless he thinks he can actually win this war. And this is going to sound like a shock to a lot of you who haven't been following this. We lost this war, this so-called war. We lost it before it started. To prove that, go back to my live streams on this YouTube channel and see the number of shows I've done, and where I have actually mentioned the Strait of Hormuz as well in those live episodes before the attack even started. So don't give me this crap about, we didn't know they closed the Strait of Hormuz. Well, I knew somehow. How did I know and you didn't know? No, you knew. You thought you were going to win it in a few days. It didn't turn out that way. One of my episodes, just a few days after the actual attack on February 28th, was we've already lost this war. If you go back to my live streams, I only do live streams about 2 or 3 times a year here on YouTube. At least that's my present rate. I don't really want to become huge on YouTube. I don't have people working around me, behind me, doing research for me. It's all me. So this is nothing else. I have crews behind me like a lot of these other YouTube channels have, and money coming in. My channel creates no revenue for me. I intentionally made it that way. So I don't really want to be real big. I want to see my channel continue to grow, but I don't want to become so big because, frankly, I'd be attacked all the time. I get attacked anyway, but I'd be attacked by the Israeli companies. Right now, I'm just a small fly, not causing enough trouble to be, a major target yet. And I want to try to keep it that way, but I would still like to see my channel grow. It hasn't grown for years because the algorithm and YouTube no longer likes me for whatever reason. In any event, Donald Trump is trapped. He now has to, and why is he trapped? And I'm hoping that, I guess because I'm really doing this, and this method that I'm doing now with a different computer, using the computer, I don't know if what you're going to see, if you're going to see this, what I'm going to be reading to you now off my screen. If it is, I guess it doesn't matter. But I'd like to read from you paragraph 1 of the Memorandum of Understanding. Again, I don't know if my face is being shown or what I see on the screen, but I'm going to read it. Paragraph 1. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran and their allies in the current war, by signing this MOU, declare the immediate and permanent termination of military operation on all fronts, including in Lebanon, and undertake from now on not to initiate any war or any military operations against each other, and ensuring the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon. The final deal will confirm the permanent termination of the war on all fronts, including in Lebanon, and other provisions of this paragraph. Okay, so what we have here, this is the very first paragraph. The very first paragraph. And we haven't even been able to abide by that. Not only the part about refrain from the threat of use of force against each other. What did Donald Trump do the other day when they were meeting in, I think it was Switzerland, for the talks to be able to sign this Memorandum of Understanding with J.D. Vance? Donald Trump got on his Tweety thing or Truth Social or whatever and started threatening to kill everybody if they didn't sign the Memorandum of Understanding, killing everybody in Iran. So you won't even, the delegation there to sign the declaration. He's saying, you don't even make it back to Iran. You don't even make it back home. if you will sign this memorandum of understanding. So right there, he's violating his own memorandum of understanding right off the bat. But the big problem in here, and if you notice, when I read this thing, it said Lebanon 3 times. They're trying to make it very clear that Iran expects this war in Lebanon to stop. They expect Israel to back down and to retreat from the parts that they've already conquered, although they've been doing terribly. You got to understand, the Israeli army is basically just a reserve, basically, and none of them really want to be there. They're kind of forced to. A lot of them are really forced to it because it's mandatory conscription coming of a certain age, and so a lot of them won't even want to be there. And there's a huge what do they call it when military personnel come back from war and the psychological problems they have, trauma, and there's a high suicide rate, and that happens in all militaries, actually, anybody that's involved in combat. I'm going to switch back to my camera in case you're just seeing the screen that I was saying. I don't know, maybe somebody can tell me in the chat if on YouTube, if you saw the screen or you were still seeing me this whole time that I was reading paragraph 1. Sorry about that. Maybe I don't have the chat open because nothing's appeared yet. I can't see anything to switch it on or off. So it apparently is open. Anyway, summer day, longest day of the year, still daylight out. I should be out working. It's raining here right now in Michigan where I'm at, so I feel a little more justified to be able to do this. But normally I'm off at work until 9 or 10 at night at this time because we got the longest days of the year right now. The longest daylight hours of the year, I should say. The days are still the same length as the daylight hours are the longest, and now they're getting shorter, even though summer just started. That's a shame. I need to do a lot of work outside. Anyway, so Lebanon is a key issue with what's going on in the Middle East right now. Without that, there is no memorandum of understanding. Here's the very first item. I could go over all the 14 points or 15 points, and none of them are going to be taking place. There won't even be a signing. Well, I guess there can still be a signing, but the signings, after the signing, it says, okay, nothing else going on in Lebanon. This has been going on for decades between Lebanon and Israel. Israel has this Israel policy, Israeli, what they call it, the land grab, basically. They're trying to grab land in the West Bank. They've already done the Golan Heights. They tried to do the Sinai Peninsula. They did that once. And, of course, Gaza, parts of Syria, they've also basically taken over, and now they're trying to do it in Lebanon, southern Lebanon right now. But the actual expansion agenda of Israel is to expand into Jordan, all of Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, up to the Nile River, all the way to the Euphrates, which is from the end of the sea. And they even have that on their patches. If you look at some of the patches, what the IDF now is, they have the greater Israel shown there, showing all the way to Iraq, also parts of Iraq are part of this greater Israel project. And it's amazing that people are awake to this, because part of the problem, of course, in all of this, if you think that we won this war, no matter how much Donald Trump tries to spin it, that's all he's doing, is spinning. He's lying all the time. Although he lets some things leak out sometimes, and the truth, he's got a big mouth, and sometimes his big mouth takes the better of him. When he's not lying, he's revealing things he's not supposed to reveal. It's pretty amazing. But if you're still watching Fox News or any of the cable networks or BSNBC, or I'm sorry, BS Now, if you're still listening to any of those networks, NPR, all the major, basically, government propaganda mediums, you aren't getting the real story at all. Why are the things I'm saying right now things that you haven't heard of in all these mainstream media sources? The reason is you're listening to the mainstream media sources. The internet gives us the ability to move on to other sources of news, which may not be true also, but it gives you a chance to look at other venues, other sources of information to help understand what might be going on. You have to pick and choose and find out which ones are still lying to you, because you've still got people like Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, other people that still, Mark Levin, but he's on Fox, right? You still got all these talking heads on the internet that are giving you the story that Israel wants you to know. And now Israel's funded sources have bought out TikTok, CBS News. They're eventually trying to buy up all of our media, including independent sources they're trying to buy up, including having people go out and be trolls on the internet to prop up the Israel cause. And it's finally starting to become a little bit more apparent to the people now than it ever has. And it's amazing to see this slow change that's happening. It actually started accelerating greatly when the so-called war started. And it's great to see, because we need a divorce from Israel. We've needed a divorce from Israel for a long time. You might even look into why. This is going to shock a lot of you. Look into the Israeli connection to 9/11 and Israeli possible connections to the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Unless you look all that up, I don't need to go into details of that right now, but look those up. And you have to look them up. Asking Grok or ChatGPT or all these other sources may not give you all those answers, but you start looking a little bit, you'll start seeing things that you didn't know that you should have been looking at before. Instead of blaming it on everything else. In case of JFK, what are they blaming it on? A lone shooter, the grassy knoll, Cuba, the mafia. They were blaming it on, they're trying to point fingers everywhere except for Israel. And when you look at what the Israel connections are, anyway, again, I don't need to get into that right now. But if you're still listening to those mainstream media sources, this is the biggest problem I have with trying to talk to people that I'm trying to actually wake up, is if you're still watching some of these, especially Fox News, that has become the government media propaganda program right now. That's the only one that Donald Trump doesn't call fake news, if that tells you anything. So if you're still listening to those sources of media, you're never going to learn what's going on. Shows like mine, hey, I've never been in the military, I've never been in government, I'm just a regular guy that does some research. So hey, what do I know, right? I mean, I'll be easy to attack because what do I know? Well, I can do some research and I can prove you wrong on a lot of things that you believe. And that's justification enough for me to be able to bring to you this information that you're being lied to. This so-called war that's going on right now, you've been lied to up and down on the mainstream media. Hegseth, Rubio, Trump, virtually everything that comes out of their mouths about this has been a lie. And greatly provable as lies when you start looking into it. So this is because some people that I know, I'm trying to wake people up, and eventually you just have to give up on them because they're still watching Fox News. What the hell is that? You're never going to get the true story. Or if I say something that goes against Donald Trump, somehow I'm a Democrat or a liberal or something like that. What is that? How am I a liberal or a Democrat if I speak against the president? When I spoke against Obama or Biden, did that make me a Republican? Because I have been. I've been talking negatively about those in all the years I've been doing radio and TV. I started this back in the Clinton years, doing what I'm doing in one form or another. Public access TV. I've been on 6 different public access TV channels over the years. A couple different radio networks. YouTube. I got 4 channels here, 3 channels here on YouTube, 3 or 4, depending on how you count. So this is something that I've been doing a long time. I've been looking at this a long time. And it's not having to do with Republican or Democrat because, like I said, there is no Democrat and Republicans. You're voting Zionists each time you vote for these people. 92% of you. I'm trying to get you to help you understand what's really going on. Israel really controls our government at this point. If they want to attack Iraq, like they did more than 20 years ago, they send in the U.S. military to do it. None of them going to do it. They come up with this concocted story about weapons of mass deception, I call it, and they get the U.S. to come and do a war for them because they can't do it themselves. They can't go to war with Iran themselves. I'm talking about Israel. Israel can't go to war against Iran itself. It can't even go against Hezbollah by itself or Hamas by itself. Without our help, all those wars are finished. They wouldn't last more than a couple of weeks if we stopped sending weapons to them, stopped sending money to them, and stopped backing them in the UN with our ability to what we call it to cancel out the vote because we have the ability to do that. That country would not exist without us. They want to go to war with all their neighbors. They want to expand their territory. And if they don't want to move out, like Gaza, or if they can't move out, or the West Bank, they simply kill them all and take over their land anyway. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. The Greater Israel Project. This is not something that's ever going to go well for us. And now finally, many American people, especially younger people, I guess, I'm of the age where I'm supposedly categorized as being a Fox News watcher, and I support Donald Trump, and I'm in favor of this war. You I've never been in favor of any of these wars we've had because none of them have been justified. None of them. You can even go back all the way to World War II and find out some of the things that got us into that war. It wasn't just a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor that got us into that war. There were other things going on, plus the fact that we'd already broken the Japanese code, and certain colonialists wanted to get us into this. Neocons wanted to get us into these wars because there's a lot of great money for the military-industrial complex. A lot of money. That's what's really wrong with our political system. Money. We give money to Israel, then Israel takes some of that money and takes in billions from us, and then sends millions back to our politicians to buy their office and the votes so that they can control our military and the voting we do in Congress, the House, the Senate. That's what they do. They've now controlled our government, the direction of our government. And now Donald Trump is in this quandary. He has basically no choice. He only really has two choices. He either just go back to try to go to war again, send in ground troops. Is the only way. He keeps threatening he's going to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Well, he hasn't been able to. You think if he could, he would? He can't. It's not they're not militarily capable. The only way you're going to be able to do that is send in about 1 million or more ground troops to Iran and take it over that way. And that's going to take years. How long will it take us to do Iraq? It would take years. But don't you dare shed any Israeli blood over this war that we're doing for Israel. Israel gets us to do their wars for them. See how that works? So no precious Israeli has to die. And what you're going to see, a lot of you, well, maybe not a lot of you, I don't know how many people that watch my channel, let's say this or watch this video later, say that I'm anti-Semitic. No, I've never been. Look up the definition of that word. I've done videos on this on YouTube that actually stayed up. I've done videos showing recently that the definition of anti-Semitism has nothing. The definition from many sources, not just and Jewish sources as well, saying it's basically a prejudice, a hatred towards Judaism, the religion. Doesn't mention Israel. Doesn't mention Zionists, doesn't mention Hamas, Hezbollah, doesn't mention any of those in their definitions. Not a single one will mention any of those words in there. But somehow if you say anything against Israel, somehow that makes you an anti-Semite. That's just not true. It's become an old trope that's being used so much anymore that it just bounces off people at this point. In fact, there was a woman just the other day had said, she wants to make sure that anybody on X gets deleted if they say anything negative about Israel. I think it's about it. And apparently she handcuffed herself to the door of Google X office or something. And after 2 hours she gave up. These war hawks are trying to convince you that this war is worth fighting. It's not. Now Donald Trump faces global economic catastrophe, not just in the U.S. And when Donald Trump lies and says we make all our oil, no, we don't. So we don't need anybody's oil. No, we need a lot of oil from overseas. We produce a lot of oil, but a lot of that oil gets shipped overseas because we can't refine it here. some of the types of crude oil, and I don't need to get into that right now, but some of the types of crude oil that we refine, we can produce for our own uses. A lot we can't. We have to send it out, and then we import the stuff that we can refine and refine it. And although it hasn't been mentioned in the mainstream, Biden drew down the petroleum reserves, the strategic petroleum reserves, I think is what it's called, of oil that we have stored underground in caverns, salt caverns in Louisiana and other locations. Biden drew it down to bring the price of gasoline down so people didn't get so pissed off at him before the election. Trump hasn't increased it before his war. And now he's drawing it down even more. Now it's coming to Davis levels. And even by his own admission, one of the things that he let slip out, within weeks, I think he said 4 weeks, within 4 weeks, we're basically going to run out of gas. So not run out, but start having social media shortages. And when that requires rationing, all the things we saw in the 70s, I was old enough to do that. I saw the rationing, the shortages, the stores closed. If you get behind it, you get a long line that goes around the block, and if the gas station also puts out a sign on a car or behind a car saying "last car," so you get behind the last car sign, you're done. You got to go stand in line with another one. Price went up. I actually worked in a gas station in '79 as a teenager, and that's when the price of gas went over $1 a gallon. And we weren't ready for it. That was the second energy crunch that we had. The first one was like in '73. The second one came along and the price went up over $1. And that was a big shock because the gas stations couldn't pump it. Because the pumps were up to 99.9. So we actually had to sell it by the half gallon and then double the price. I forget how that worked. Until they were able to order new pumps that could go, and back then it wasn't digital, it was the numbers that they the numbers that move in a tumbler. So we had to I wonder if, let me try something here. I'm going to close this thing here, because I'm surprised. Okay, I am on the chat now. Maybe I didn't know how to do this, but apparently people haven't been able to respond to the chat here on YouTube. And I'm sorry about that. I didn't know what I was doing. And apparently now it's available. I don't know. If I've corrected that, there was something I needed to click that didn't make any sense. It said close, but I didn't want to close the chat, but it was about moderation. I don't have any moderators here. It's just all live, done as I go. So anyway, for YouTube people, I'll be going off the air on Liberty Radio at 8 o'clock, but for YouTube people, I'll probably stay on longer. If anybody wants to talk about more of these topics, we'll stay on the air longer. For those YouTubers, sorry about the chat thing. Your sounds too close, Bill. Is the volume too loud on my voice, or am I speaking too loud? That might be what that means, because there's somebody that did comment. Sounds like my voice might be too loud. I don't know how to change that. I'll have to work on that in future. I'm seeing a little volume thing on the bottom of my screen, and it's only going up a little over half, so it doesn't seem like I'm speaking too loud or too close to the microphone. I'm only 1.5 feet away from the actual camera on this laptop. Anyway, at least there's some audio. I've had various technical problems trying to do this. So anyway, now this could be a change. So I went from potato cam to this. Should be much better streaming, much better quality. I don't know what quality you call it. If you call this HD, or if you call it, I don't think you call it 4K, but it's going to be better quality now. Not that there's anything to see again that's going to make any difference. What is the information I'm presenting to you? So if there are other options besides going to war with Iran right now, if you're Donald Trump, is to say, well, Israel, you on your own, have a nice day. Are we going to continue, if we continue to support Israel with weapons and money, well, the money could be, you can look at the money differently, but the weapons and supporting them with the defense weapons Israel gets and uses, the weapons they're using against Israel and Lebanon and Gaza and the West Bank and so on, if that continues, that's against Donald Trump's own Memorandum of Understanding that he claims to want, even though he's violating it all the time already. Then this agreement's never going to happen. And it will be a perpetual war. The Straits of Hormuz will be closed. And they've actually been closed. They're letting ships in, the ships that they want to come in, and they pay the Ayatollah, I call it. And then they're going to be able to get through. But if you're a country involved in some of these prince countries, Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Kuwait and Bahrain and all these countries that are in the Middle East that are now stuck because they're behind the Straits of Hormuz, got to go through to get their oil out, they're stuck. And there's an old Arab saying that I looked up once. It goes like this. It's pretty short, if I remember it and say it correctly. Kiss the hand you can't bite. Kind of similar to ours where kiss the hand that feeds you. Kiss the hand you can't bite. So in other words, all these Arab countries that have been siding with the U.S., been taking money, having their bases, their military bases on their lands for the supposed protection of their country, which obviously didn't work, did it? Then you have to decide which side you're really on now at this point. Do you want to stay on the side of the Zionists, meaning the U.S., or do you want to go with the Arab side, the Iranian side, who have turned out to have a much more formidable army than us, military than we do? Donald Trump keeps bragging we got the biggest military in the world. Well, I think he's proving that we don't. The problem is, Donald Trump is fighting World War II. Iran is fighting World War III. They've advanced, we haven't. We're still using bombers, fighters, aircraft carriers, refuelers, where Israel has been using drones and missiles. And that's why they've won this war. All they really had to do was hold out to survive, to win this war. And they have won the war. Now they presented this, now they're getting to the point where they can sign this Memorandum of Understanding because the U.S. has surrendered. If you really read the document, it amounts to complete surrender by the United States because he's desperate to get those Straits of Hormuz going and desperate to get that flow of oil going again because world economies, not only our economy, but world economies are going to start suffering. We're already suffering. We already know everything's going up. Inflation rates are going to go off the roof. We're already in a recession. We haven't said it yet because it takes, according to the way the rules go, where these economists judge whether we're in a recession or not, they go by sort of like 3 months prior, quarter prior or something, they go by that. But we're heading for a depression here, great depression worldwide that we haven't seen since the lights of 100 years ago. If those straits are going to open immediately, and even if the straits open today, we are going to find the price of fuel keeps rising for quite a while. It's going to take months, if not years, for everything to stabilize. Because so many things have been disrupted that it's not something that's going to be immediately changing. If you open up the streets right now today, if the fleet without the Ayatollah, you'll get ships going through, but now you have to start getting everything moving again, all the oil flowing again. Got to repair all the ones that were bombed, or restore the ships the ships that now need all kinds of maintenance for just having been sitting for months. When you get the insurance companies to agree that, okay, now we can start insuring going through the Straits of Hormuz, because that's one of the big problems right now. Even if they say they're open, they're not open until the insurance companies basically say they are. They'll start insuring their ships for going through. Somebody says, YouTube, I've been watching you since I was 13 years old, now 23. Love your content. So 10 years. Thank you. Thank you, Russ. My content has been all over the board. And the political content, sometimes people like, sometimes don't, I suppose. I've got a lot of other things in the works. I got dozens and dozens of videos I'd love to post, but I just don't have the time, especially in the warmer weather. I need to do all this stuff in the winter, and I do some in the winter, but I need to be posting more, and then also all throughout the year. I just don't have the time to do that. I've been too busy with my projects that I've been working on. Got about 100 projects going on besides my YouTube project. And again, I've made YouTube a lower priority because Not only am I not making any money off of it, which I never intended to do in the first place, purposely, I don't do an ad read, I don't have affiliate links, I don't have ways to donate, there's no super chat of capability, none of that stuff on my channel, unlike all the other channels you may watch that do sort of live news type programs. That's kind of what this is, kind of like a news program, political commentary. None of that. Anyway, not only do I not make any money off it, but YouTube doesn't allow me to grow. The algorithm has stopped me from growing, and that's one of the things, one of the reasons I kind of gave up on YouTube a long time ago. I do have a Rumble channel. Hasn't been growing much. I put my most controversial stuff there because YouTube could probably block it or even shut me down, as it might even for this video itself. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden the screen goes blank and it'll be cut off. Because some of the things I said, because talking bad about Israel has become an anti-Semitic trope. Even though there's nothing anti-Semitic about it. Just like I am a proud American, but I talk negatively about the U.S. government. Does that make me anti-American, or does that make me anti-government? Because our government is way out of control, run by Zionists, and I don't want the money I pay in taxes to go for these causes that are not only illegal, unlawful, unjustified, but they're just plain stupid. So if you go against Israel, you call it anti-Semitic. But you'll notice I never said anything negative about Jews anywhere on this program. Anywhere on my channel, you won't find me saying anything negative about Judaism, Jewish people, the Jewish religion. That's what would be anti-Semitic. Not everything else everybody's saying it is. Just like calling anybody who defends their own country, like Hezbollah, calling them terrorists. Well, people in Gaza, they're terrorists. Hamas, terrorists. Because they want to defend their own land from being taken over by a Zionist group intent on genocide. They're terrorists. Now, when you look into it, Israel is the biggest terrorists in the world. Maybe us. Actually, we might be more of a terrorist. Our government might be more of a terrorist than the rest of the world because, frankly, we kill millions of people all over the world all the time. Whether there's a war or not. Sanctions alone that we have on various countries are killing more than 500,000 people a year. Why do we have these sanctions? Why do we have the sanctions against Iran? Why? Are they a national security threat? Were they ever a national security threat to us? No. They weren't. Oh, but they say death to America. Okay. I say death to America too, at least the government, U.S. government. And why wouldn't they say death to America? During the Iraq-Iran war, we funded the Iraqi side, including with giving them chemical weapons that they used on the Iranian people. We backed the Iraqis to try to take over Iran. So why wouldn't they say death to America? Iran isn't our enemy. They're no national security threat to us whatsoever. Neither really is China or Russia. But they've made these enemies because they need to keep this military-industrial complex going. The warmongers got to keep the money flowing to the military. Why are those countries our enemies? Why should we hate all these other countries I just mentioned? You know who our biggest threat to national security is? Israel. They have spies here in the U.S. They stole their nuclear technology. That's how they got the bomb. Spies in our country, even in the White House itself, in the Pentagon, the White House, Israeli spies. Spying on us to make sure we do what they demand that we do for them. And now Donald Trump is maybe going to have to defy Israel, which is going to be an immense task. He may not survive this. And I don't just mean politically. I think he was given a warning once already, got shot in the ear for not following the complete Zionist intent I don't have any direct proof of that, but there's a lot of information that suggests that could be the case. Same with Charlie Kirk murder. He started talking negatively about Israel when he was being funded by Israel and the donors in the form of millions of dollars. Well, somehow he ended up becoming unalive, they say. And all the reasons, the consequence, the circumstances behind him becoming unalive are highly suspicious, and there's a lot of provable lies from the FIB. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say FIB? FBI. There's just so many problems wrong with that story. Well, anyway, and why, if I was running for president and somebody shot me, as soon as I got into office, I think I would probably demand my Justice Department and FBI and so on to investigate, to open up the files and find out who was that really shot me. What was the what are all the details? What is the hidden agenda? What is the circumstances that the public has imposed? I think I'd want to know that. But he closed down the investigation. He didn't heard a thing about it. Closed it down. Well, the guy was shot, that's it, and it was done. Over with. Low government. Yeah, somebody tried to kill him, and he doesn't do an investigation. I know something's very wrong there. Something so wrong, it's actually incredible. Is my shirt backwards there? It looks like it's showing. Things are left and right weird on me here on my screen. Anyway, I've got about 8 minutes before I'm going to get off here on Liberty Tree Radio. So he's got to go against the Israeli lobby. And if he doesn't do that, he could end up, an inch different on a particular projectile, could make the difference, or maybe some blackmail information related to the Epstein files, that because Jeffrey Epstein had cameras in virtually every room in all his properties, that maybe caught somebody doing something on camera with an underage somebody there, and maybe they have this may be part of the Epstein files not released. It seems to be related to that. Jeffrey Epstein was very highly connected to the Mossad and the Israeli lobby. If they can't get you to accept money, they blackmail you. This has got to stop. You need to vote American in the next election. One of the things I've always said on my show, there are no Republicans, there are no Democrats, and as I've demonstrated here tonight, they're both Zionists. You've been voting Zionists most of your life, probably. But there's no Democrats, Republicans, there's Americans. There's either traitors or there's patriots. And virtually everybody in Congress, in the House of Representatives and Senate, have proven themselves to be traitors, going against what the people's intent is. The so-called democracy. It's not a democracy. There has been. In fact, Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution clearly says we are a republic. And that doesn't mean Republican. A republic, if you can keep it. And we haven't kept it. They want to change it to a democracy because mob rules, majority rules. Get enough people propagandized enough to believe a certain thing, and they'll all vote a certain way, and they've got you voting Zionists every time. There's no left, there's no right. Don't look left or right. Look up. Find out who's really controlling you. Who's in charge of the propaganda you're being fed? Another comment says, maybe Israel will summon the planet Nibiru to crash into Trump. Well, that's probably in relation to one of the things I used to debunk. I debunk a lot of things on my channel. I haven't done much of debunking of that topic for probably about 10 years. Most of you probably don't even know what that is anymore, because it's been one it's gone now. Nobody's been talking about that in a long time. Nibiru is a planet supposedly coming here, is going to collide with the Earth. It's hiding behind the sun the whole time, and it's coming closer and closer, and it's going to collide with the Earth and kill everybody on the planet. And that's the Nibiru thing, basically. I debunked flat earthers. Chemtrails is the one that gets me the most death threats. Well, I debunk chemtrails, but it's easy to debunk. That's one of the things I debunk a lot. Anyway, on my channel, if you go back about 10 years, I debunked a lot of things. And of course, anything dealing with Fukushima and all the radiation fear mongering that was out there about Fukushima. and about nuclear bomb. And I got a couple minutes, I'll talk about that here in a minute. Because if Israel decides to continue to attack and occupy Lebanon against the Memorandum of Understanding, which will never happen because Israel is not abiding by it. And that's going to be a problem because if they don't, Iran will not only keep the Straits closed and world economies will further collapse, but also they're going to start sending missiles into Iran again, into Israel again. And Israel doesn't have the defense. If we stop cutting off weapons, Israel is nothing within a week. Israel would not exist without us today. No way, no how. If they would act sanely, like and civilly with their neighbors, they could be a thriving country. But yeah, even with all their money. But no, we can't have that. They've got to come and conquer all their neighbors. And if they don't move out of the lands that they think they have, that they own, by some twisted reading of the Old Testament, then they'll kill you. And they think they can do that. They think you're Amalek, and they think they can kill anybody, including all your animals, and poison your land as well, like they're doing in Lebanon right now. That's what they do. Anyway, nuclear weapons. If nuclear weapons, because now Israel may become in a point where it's an existential threat to them, and they're facing total obliteration because of what Iran can do to them. And frankly, I kind of hope they do. I kind of hope Israel doesn't exist anymore. Jews live peacefully all around the world for centuries. You don't have to have a country specifically for them. They could be living anywhere. They live here peacefully. Now, there's becoming a lot more hatred against them now because people who are really anti-Semitic don't understand the whole understanding of how anti-Semitic impetus really works, and they're starting to be mad as Jews here in this country. It's not happening much, but they live peacefully here. They can live peacefully anywhere in the world for the most part. But there's Jews in Iran. They live in Iran in mosques. But if they become an existential threat, they could be using nuclear weapons. And be aware, there could be a false flag placed upon us, just like 1967, the USS Liberty, which everybody needs to look that up if you don't know what that is, where Israel attacked the United States directly, killed many of our our sailors, injured almost 200, tried to sink one of our ships and tried to blame it on Egypt, so we would get involved in the war on Egypt as a false flag to help Egypt. They could blame it on Egypt. So something may happen in this country that could be devastating to the United States to try to force your opinion to change that we need to get this war going in Iran. We need to beat them, we need to go in and start the draft because we don't have to have a draft. If you only need the ground forces, we need a draft because we don't have enough. And how well is that going to play out? Unless there's a major event like maybe 9/11, where all of a sudden, going to attack. Who are supposed to attack? Until we go, oh yeah, we need to attack Iraq, right? Well, they'll blame it on Iran, whatever happens, and it will probably really be Israel. And you need to look up the sources and find out the circumstances of this false flag attack that could be coming, find out where it actually originated from, to find out that it came from Israel instead of Iranians, because they have to get rid of that. Well, the show is now over on Liberty Tree Radio. I'm going to stick around here, answer some of the comments I'm seeing here. But I thank everybody on Liberty Tree Radio for listening. If you want to continue on with what's going on with this episode, if you like what you heard, go to Forbid TV on YouTube. Forbid CDs, no space, Forbid TV, and I'll be on live as long as people seem to want to keep me on here. But there aren't many people watching right now, so we'll see how long it lasts. So I thank everybody for listening. Until next time on Liberty Tree Radio.
Before you guys get off,
October, Hillsdale County, right?
Yes, October 10th, Second Amendment rally for Hillsdale County.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everybody for listening. So, for those of you on YouTube, that Hillsdale County is a county in Michigan. That network, let me shut this off here because I don't want the music possibly interfering with copyright infringement or something. Here in Michigan, that network, by the way, and I don't agree with everything on the network, I'll just be honest with you right up front, I don't really believe anybody's opinion 100%. I have my own opinions, but I gather all this information, I come up with my own opinions, which may or may not be correct. That's up to you to decide. You have your own opinions. You won't agree with everything I say either. You may think we're being sprayed with chemicals from the sky. So, okay, you don't like what I say then. Okay, that's fine. But I'm just more and more seeing people turning on Israel. And probably all of you see it. You see Tucker Carlson do it. You see Marjorie Taylor Greene do it. You see Thomas Massey do it. You're seeing where's some of the big Candace Owens. You're seeing a lot of these people. The secular talk was Kyle Kalinske, even though he's very liberal Democrat. If you claim to be a Democrat or claim to be a Republican, you don't know what's going on. So that's one of the things I don't like about these other channels. When you're constantly blaming the Republicans or Democrats, whichever side they're on, when they don't know if they don't understand what's going on. There's no difference between the two. There's either traitors or patriots. It's not Democrats or Republicans. There's traitors and patriots. And we're always voting in the traitors. 92% of them are Zionists. So voting the Zionist party. Anyway, let's see some of the comments. Has Israel Army even been able to gain any ground on battlefield? I've only seen them get destroyed by Hezbollah FPV drones. They had advanced up to the Litani River, I think it's called, which is about one-third of the southern Lebanon. They bombed the bridges so the travel couldn't be going across. That was their first step. And they've occupied it, and now they're destroying it. They're trying to level all the bridges they've already leveled the bridges. They've already destroyed the bridges across that river. And they're trying to destroy everybody's homes with D9 bulldozers, and they're trying to basically kill everybody to save that didn't flee. They're poisoning their land so they can't grow any crops anymore. They're killing all their livestock. Total destruction as part of the Greater Israel Project. But yeah, it's true. If you believe what the mainstream press has been telling you, they've won that. They haven't. Israel is losing that big time because Hezbollah is sending in all these drones and rockets across into them, and they're even Israeli media has admitted that we got to do something. We can't handle this. It's too much. We did it back in the. This is the third time now that Israel has invaded and tried to conquer parts of Lebanon and has been driven back, and they're going to be driven back again. They have to be, unless Donald Trump decides to stand up to Israel. Israel's going to have to walk out on its own, basically, because they've already said that they aren't leaving. Ben Gvir and Mostrich, how you say it, of the Likud party, they're crazy. They're like Nazis. And they're bragging about how they're going to stay in Lebanon, no matter what the U.S. president says. Well, if the U.S. president stops funding them, then they'll have to withdraw. They won't be able to stay. That's what really needs to be done. So yeah, there's a lot of videos. I think one of them is called the Electronic Intifada. I think one of the channels that shows you all these videos of drone footage of these drones from Hezbollah and other countries being thrown directly into tanks and all personnel carriers and rocket launchers and so on. And they're doing a massive amount of damage to our equipment that we paid for. That's what's going on. You may not believe it if you watch Fox News, but that's what's going on. So yeah, Hezbollah and Hamas even. Hamas, the three H's. Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi. They're all showing their ability to do it against Israel. The Hamas has been the hardest. Now about 60 to 70% of the land of Gaza is now being controlled by Israel. And there's leveling buildings. They want to build a nice building temples, and they want to kill everybody in Gaza that remains. So they're driving them farther and farther back and starving them, killing them, whatever they have to do, bomb them. Even though there's been a ceasefire, Israel doesn't understand. There's no. I don't think there's a Hebrew word translation for the word ceasefire. I don't think there's a Hebrew translation. They don't understand it, so they're moving forward with that. Every ceasefire they ever got into, they completely ignored, violated. And even if this memorandum of understanding is in place, they won't abide by it. Well, first of all, they're not mentioned anywhere in the document. So they don't necessarily have to, but if Donald Trump continues to support them, global financial collapse is coming. You don't like what you see. Might even lead to a civil war in this country. And you don't want a civil war either. We don't need a revolution. We need a restoration of constitutional government back to the Constitution that we had, that was once followed, but now we kind of ignore. We ignore international law, we ignore our own Constitution. What country do we even have anymore? Like I said on my Rumble channel, you'll need to see that. The new Pledge of Allegiance, the very first video I posted on my YouTube channel, under the same name as this channel, even though you can't search it. It's not searchable. I know what's going on with Rumble. I don't know why I can't search it. If you put it in directly in the search engine of Rumble itself, you won't find the channel. So I don't know. I don't understand Rumble. I don't understand it. It's supposedly where you have freedom of speech, but nobody can find it. So, anybody else want to, thanks for the thumbs up for everybody who came in and give me a thumbs up. This supposedly helps the algorithm. This video will remain posted later so others can see it on the YouTube channel. What else? I'm going to continue about nuclear. If Israel decides to use their nuclear weapons, they won't be able to destroy Iran. They still won't win. In fact, they'll be the biggest loser. If Israel decides to use its nuclear weapons on Iran, they will be the big loser. They'd be more effective if they use one of their nuclear weapons in a shipping container off the coast of California. What's that bay called? That dockyard? And they'll blame it on Israel. See, Israel had a nuclear weapon. I mean, they'll blame it on Iran, and they'll say Iran had a nuclear weapon. If Israel, sorry I'm getting these mixed up here. If Israel uses that nuclear weapon, it's all over for Israel. It's all over for Israel. Not only has Iran got assurances from Pakistan to have nuclear weapons available for them if they wanted it, they don't need to use them. Because Israel will have destroyed itself. Because now all of a sudden in the world community, it will finally become the pariah that they are. Every country in the world will be looking negatively upon Israel at that point. And if they use that nuclear weapon, they made a huge mistake in the fact that now they've proven to the world once and for all, without any question, that they have a nuclear weapons program, which they have always basically denied in all the decades they've had it. You know, everybody knows, wait, nod, yeah, they have nuclear weapons. But now we can't possibly hide it anymore, and by U.S. law, we can no longer support countries that have nuclear weapons like that. Oh, that's interesting. They won't be able to hide it anymore. Can't deny it either. And they won't destroy Iran. You've been lied to all your life about nuclear weapons. I grew up as part of the Cold War. For those of you who don't know, I have more than 10,000 radiation detectors in stock. I do this for a living. I've been dealing with radiation. If all nuclear weapons in the world, by all countries, were detonated all at the same time, that's about as much energy as a strong hurricane. I don't want a strong hurricane ever destroying massive amounts of people and causing nuclear winter and all this garbage that they come up with. They had to get you fearful of nuclear weapons. And if nuclear weapons are used by Israel against Iran, you're going to find out that they aren't what you were led to believe they are. Because all of Iran will not be dead. So that's the big danger. That's why I don't think nuclear weapons will be used, for those three reasons. They'll have exposed themselves for having nuclear weapons. They won't win it. They'll lose. Israel will lose. And you'll find the destructive power of those aren't what you thought, and it's not going to destroy the whole world, and will even destroy the whole country of Iran. Somebody else says Kennedy was killed for wanting to inspect Israel's nuclear program. Kennedy, well, I'm not sure exactly. There is something related to nuclear. I'd have to look at that again. John F. Kennedy was trying to keep Israel from getting the nuclear weapon. And I don't know if they had weapons at that moment in time or not before he was killed. But they might have had a nuclear weapons program where they didn't yet have the nuclear weapons. Just like other countries have maybe had a nuclear weapons program, but they don't have a nuclear weapon at a particular point in time. Part of the Memorandum of Understanding is dealing with nuclear, and that's never going to go anywhere either. Of course, the whole thing won't even have to take place until Israel decides to back down. Israel can't really back down unless Bibi Netanyahu and the Likud party and Ben-Gvir and Mosrich changed it to decide to leave Hezbollah. That's only going to be temporary. They'll concentrate their military and then on the West Bank and Gaza some more. They won't stop. And they still get out of that part. They're losing that big time anyway. They're losing everywhere, actually. But they'll lose that big time and after they admit defeat. But they'll go back to it later. Years from now or decades from now, they'll go back to it later. They won't stop until Israel is eliminated. And Iran has that ability. I hope they do. It's not because I hate Jews. Because I hate the Zionist government of Israel. You gotta understand that. But yeah, that may be the connection to Kennedy. For those of you watching this video after it was posted live, I don't think the live chat ever shows up again. That's why I'm reading these, because most of you will not ever be able to see that live chat that shows up on this video when it's posted. I think that's how it goes. I don't know how to change that. If I can, I don't do this enough to know the ins and outs of this. So Israel will have to back down, or else Donald Trump will have to make them back down. And that's not going to go well. Either through the blackmail they may have on Donald Trump, or through the world economies, and we being blamed for all the problems of the world economy. One of the things in that Memorandum of Understanding, in fact, I'll read that first part of that first point again. The first point, immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon, and undertake from now on not to initiate any war or military operations against each other and refrain from the threat or use of force against each other, and ensuring the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon. The final deal, okay, part of it, okay, that's not paragraph 1, the part I wanted, what I was looking for, I'm not going to scroll down and find out what part it's in, but there's also the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Iran in that Memorandum of Understanding. And it so happens 12 and a half miles offshore is sovereign territory, just like 12 and a half miles off the coast of the United States is sovereign territory under the jurisdiction of the territory of the United States of America. We can control it. Well, guess what? The Strait of Hormuz is about 20 miles wide. On one half you have Iran, on the other half you have Oman. 12 and a half miles each way covers 25 miles, which completely covers the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran has been under negotiations to coming up with a program for the Ayatollah to control it, so that those countries can benefit from the toll. Just like there's a toll through the Panama Canal, or just like there's a toll through the one in Turkey, I can't remember what it's called, and just like there could be one for the Red Sea too, the Bab el-Mandeb, there isn't one yet, but it could be. The Houthi may do that too. So it has $1 a gallon, $1 per barrel of oil or whatever. You pay the Ayatollah. That's their sovereign territory. So Trump keeps calling it international waters. It's not. It's been treated as such for international passage, but it's not. It's their sovereign territory. So they can control, if they want, they can impose that Ayatollah if they want. And there's nothing we can do about it unless we take over Iran or take over Oman. And when we do have the ground troops, we need about $1 million more. It could take probably more than a decade to do it. And we'll be long dead broke before that completion ever happens. Name a war we've won in the last, ever since World War II. Name a war we've won. Anybody? Oh, anybody can name a war we've won? We keep doing these military exercises, and we just mess up the country, putting our own dictators. Just like we had our own dictator in Iran back in the Shah, what year? 79? Up to 79? They weren't our enemies then, in 79. All of a sudden, they had a revolution and ousted the Shah of Iran, and then now all of a sudden they're our enemy. Because we don't control them and their oil anymore. That's why they're our enemy. Not because of the national security threat. Because we got pissed off that they removed our dictator. Another Trumpism from a commenter. I thought Trump opened the strait and won for the 25th time. Yeah, I think it was 39 times he said that we'll have an agreement next couple of days, and then it doesn't happen. And he said that, I think, 39 times or something. He's been manipulating the markets, driving the price of oil, playing the markets, shorting up and down for all his buddies. Trump understands money. Yeah, he says we open the strait. We've never been able to open the strait, and we can't open the strait. Again, unless you take over the country of Iran completely, there's no way we can open the strait. No military way of doing it. That we're aware of. Otherwise, they would have done it. So, anybody else want to talk about that or something else? I'll read this real quick. This is if I ran out of things to talk about, which I don't do, and I'll cover this next week on my Liberty Tree Radio, unless I exit out here. This came up to my attention here recently, in fact, today. Somebody told me there was a Canadian proposal for implementation of a program for minor children to commit suicide without their parents' full consent, or something of that nature. And I said, that doesn't sound right. I looked up and, well, here it is, yes. A parliamentary committee, who is in Canada now, and so in the proposal, proposed extending medical assistance in dying, with the acronym MAID, to mature minors, which included a recommendation that parents be consulted, but that a minor's decision could ultimately take priority. However, the federal government has not enacted this into law, and minors remain completely ineligible for the program. That was crazy. I will be doing a video about that, but I thought I'd bring it to the attention of everybody. They got this far to the end of the video. I'll talk about it next week, possibly on the Liberty Tree Radio, if people want to talk about it. But our country's dying, so is Canada. All the countries in the world are dying little by little. We are becoming something that we don't recognize. Another comment, I don't think the average American is motivated to fight a 30-year war. Americans are smarter. The terrorist thing doesn't work anymore. Well, they're trying to make it work anymore. That's some of the two key things. Either anti-Semitic or terrorists. They got to keep those going. And for people who watch Fox News, apparently it works. But so many people are against it now. Yeah, the midterms coming up. This is another thing that people just don't seem to get. The midterms are up. He's doing this for the midterms. I don't think he really cares about the midterms. I think he knows the midterms are through for him. His health may be in such a state that he might even resign before the midterms, before January ends up anyway. Because, if the Democrats get elected, then they'll start proceedings and be all kinds of impeachments again, just like last time he was president. And if there's enough people in the House also, in the Senate also, he could be convicted and go to jail. Then he might just retire and resign before then and impeach himself and pardon himself before that even happens, before he even gets that far. And just say, well, I resigned and J.D. Vance. What's that going to change? They can change anything? Really? Let's look how much J.D. Vance has got money from the Jewish lobbies, PAC money, in his years in politics. Look that up before you think anything's going to change. So the Democrats come in, but they're really Zionists, and things won't change. They'll play a big game and distract you with all these impeachments and everything else, but the fighting between the Democrats and Republicans when they're just the Zionists sitting off, again, not left and right, above, sitting above and just laughing at all of you for what's going on. Keeping you distracted, fighting each other instead of the real people you're supposed to be fighting. And that's a damn shame. That's what our country's become. We need a divorce from Israel. Yeah, there's a lot of average Americans, as long as they keep voting Democrat or Republican, we're going to keep getting the same nonsense we get. And before you vote this next time, you might want to check some of these websites. And I've got them here. I can actually quote them for you if you can see what you can find. There's websites that show the donations from Israel PAC money and recipients, Israel pro-Israel recipients. This one's called opensecrets.org. Look up your congressman or senator and find out how much money they got. There's no senators that haven't taken any money. And there's only 33 House of Representative Congress members that haven't taken any Israeli money. Anyway, that's one of the websites, pro-Israel, opensecrets.org. The other one is, another one is trackapac.com. Track APAC, and APAC is AIPAC. What does that stand for? American Israeli something P Action Committee. What's the P stand for? Political, right? APAC, American Israeli Political Action Committee. And that's not the only one. There's J Street. There's like half a dozen other ones you can look up as well. So that really shows APAC. But the pro-Israel recipients one, the one we call opensecrets.org, those are the ones that have, I think, other organizations, Israeli PAC money coming in. So you can look those up yourself. And look up before you vote for them to find out if they've been taking PAC money, Israeli PAC money. Might also want to look up if they've been taking money from the military-industrial complex or from medical. We saw this during COVID. Or the medical influence for our so-called leaders. You probably won't find any of them that aren't taking money from something that's nefarious and goes against what the American people would really want. Probably none of them. Our country has been destroyed. We've been destroyed from within. By corporations, corruption. So you need to look at that new Pledge of Allegiance that I did. I'll try to say it here in closing. The new Pledge of Allegiance, see if it stays 6 on YouTube or this will kicked off the channel. I don't think anybody's going to be watching the end here anyway, although the bots will. See if I can, I almost have it memorized. I could look it up and to make sure I get it right. Because I don't agree with this. Is a spoof, folks. This is not what I agree with, but this is reality of today. How our, let me see, my content. I only have 21, something like that, followers. Okay. Picture this, and you can see the video if you want. School classroom, because when we were young, when I was young, and I guess it's still being done today for the most part. At the beginning of class, maybe after attendance is taken, you stand up and you give the Pledge of Allegiance looking at a flag, right? Classrooms, grade school, maybe. So what I did when I was a kid. But let's be honest. the U.S. Pledge of Allegiance is outdated and needs to be accurately amended for modern times. So picture that flag on the wall, American flag, the 50 stars and 13 stripes. That blue field changes when it only has one star, and it might have something to do with David. You get my drift. A white David in a field of blue with the 13 red and white stripes. And the new pledge goes as follows. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of Israel and to the oligarchy for which it stands, one empire without God, neo-colonialism, genocide, and propaganda for all. Well, let me see if I get any comments here. I was looking at, although I had to memorize last night, something that's cut off here. I still appear to be on the air. And nobody's commented, so, okay. I think I'm going to end it there. Hardly anybody watching my channel will see that. But it's there now. A test to see if the bot bans me from YouTube now. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm ending the stream now on YouTube.